This is the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. Ladies, please stop cutting your bangs. Please. I mean, I speak for all men. Anybody with a dick will tell you, leave your bangs intact. No one wants to see your forehead. I mean, I'm sure it's lovely. And, we want to see your forehead if we're in bed, like stroking your hair and we pull your hair back. And then you're doing that weird pillow talk stuff and you're like, oh, I love your ears. Oh, I love your nose. I love your forehead. There's always a question mark because your forehead's okay, I guess. But we love your bangs a lot more when they're not bangs. What's the word for long bangs? Blongs? When they're blongs. That's what it is. Just leave your bangs long. So go blong. That's what I say to you folks. Because my friend Lily, I just walked in today and she's chopped her bangs off. And now, honestly, she looks like she should be making mud pies at recess. I mean, it's like that. It just makes you look. I understand you want to look young, I guess, and I don't know if that you think that makes you look young. But Jesus, how hot is your hair when it's long? Oh my God, I speak for all men. Leave your hair long, God damn it. Quit cutting your hair off. So yeah, Lily is chopped her. Yeah, fiddle with them. It doesn't matter. You're trying to stretch them out. I hope so. Man, now they look really bad. Jesus, fix them. Yeah, there you go. Separate them. Good Christ. She just like squeezed them all together, and then it looked really fifth grade. You need a Catholic schoolgirl outfit, which, quite frankly, I'm sure you have somewhere in this room. Okay, you can see it from here. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, my wife just did it too. My wife went to get her hair cut. And she did like a thing on her hair where she made it like kind of a red. She put a red in there, so she's now like a copper top. It's awesome. My wife, now I call her Copper Top, which I think is nice and playful and fun. And she was like, "Oh, don't call me Copper Top." And I said, "What do you mean? That's awesome." And I go, "It's better than Carrot Top, isn't it?" As if that was the only choice. Like I couldn't call her Karen anymore now because she has this like tinge of red like through her hair. I called her Copper Top, and she's just like, "Oh, please don't." So now I've told the world. And by the world, I mean my thumbnail of the world, my tiny, small amount of people that I've carved out of the world who go ahead and download this show every week. It's funny. I said thumbnail and carved, and I thought of when we had to make linoleum sculptures when I was a kid. That's so weird that popped into my head. Folks, I suck at art. I think we all know this. And we used to have to carve. Like I remember having like a knife, and we like an X-Acto knife, and we would have to carve into linoleum, and we'd have to carve pictures. And now I'm thinking like, what school did I go to where we majored in scrimshaw? How the fuck did that happen? It doesn't make any sense at all. But it happened. I remember it having to be done. It was like literally like a chunk. On the bottom it was burlap like a rug, and on the top it was linoleum, and you had to carve a picture in it. And I suck at art. I told you, I stole a fucking vase when I was a kid to say I passed. And I remember just carving all the linoleum off, like literally just shaving it all and making a big pile of linoleum. I mean, that's all I did. I think I got an F. I actually should have just carved an F into the thing of linoleum. F. Here, and just handed it in. There you go. Go ahead, grade that. I also was in junior achievement when I was a kid. And let me tell you, one of those words applied. Because there was no achievement going on whatsoever. It was, and Mex was in it too, my buddy Mex. And we had to make trivets. You know what trivets are? It's like a hot plate. You had to make a hot plate. And I literally, I'm not kidding you folks, I went just so I could eat Hostess pies out of the vending machine. That's the only reason I went. And I would go, and we would sit. It was me and Dante Brackett and Mex and a bunch of other guys, and we had to make trivets. And I think I actually pinched a trivet from there too. Stole one. I stole one or two and said, "Hey, look what I did," and got no credit for junior achievement. Folks, I guess the bottom line is I will steal things and claim that they're mine. That's what I will do. But also, in the bottom line is don't cut your bangs, ladies. My wife. I guess it works for them because now they can see. That's what Lily said. She goes, "Oh, I couldn't see." So? Nobody fucking cares. Who needs to see? You need to look hot. That's what you need to do. And you looked hot when you had longer hair. It looked great. But now you cut your bangs off and you look like, some Betty Page knockoff, and nobody wants to fucking see that. Betty Page was hot except for her hair. If Betty Page had long fucking Veronica hair from Archie comics, oh my God, would she look fucking amazing. But instead she went straight up bangs, and I guess that's a fetish thing. Are bangs a fetish? Yeah, is that why you cut them?
No.
No?
I actually just cut my bangs too short.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I just was trimming them and went, shit, and just...
Yeah, but that always fucking happens. I mean, literally, that always happens. That's what Karen does. Karen cuts her bangs and it's always too short. So don't cut your fucking bangs. They're going to wind up too short. It's going to happen. Instead of having because really long, kind of hot hair and it all and then my wife will just chop them and I'm like, dude, you're supposed to grow it out so it all matches and then it's long to your back and then you're hot. I mean, not that my wife's not hot anyway. I love my wife, but Jesus Christ, stop cutting your bangs. All ladies, en masse, don't cut your goddamn bangs. Don't go to your place and have them cut your bangs. By all means, do not cut your bangs yourself because inevitably you cut them too short. All right. So there, I've scolded you. Take that, ladies who want to do their own maintenance. You don't see me cutting my bangs. I grew them other areas and then wind up bleeding to death. But other than that, that's just me. That's fine. But those can't be too short. I don't look like my balls don't look like Betty Page. Seriously, they don't. Betty Page balls. That'd be good if I chopped those up and then that would just literally to get Betty Page balls. All I would have to do is trim the hair really short and then wrap them in leopard cloth. And then it would look like a Betty Page picture. That's it. That's what my balls would look like. All right, folks. So this happened to me on my way over here. Fuck. I ran into somebody who I think I ran into me from the past. Me from the past showed up because I was driving here, and to get to Lily's house, here's exactly where she lives. What if I did that? What if I gave your address? Folks, there's a hotel, and then you take a left. All right. So I'm driving, so I have to turn. I'm on Highland Avenue in Hollywood, which some of you may know where that is. Hold on, there's a coin here on the table, and if it flips and it's tails, I'm ending the show. Damn it. Hold on, it fell. Hold on. Fuck, it's tails. I got to go. Folks, you can get me at Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can get me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. It's tails. The coin rules. I'm Two-Face. I have to do what the quarter said. Damn it. Why did it? I wish it would have been head, so I could. But it literally was tails, and now I can't live up to it, folks. You know what I used to do? This is totally true. I would when I worked at a pizza place, when I worked anywhere actually. I've had jobs, and I worked at a pizza place, and a guy. When people would pay, I would do this periodically. I swear to God, I would do this. They would order their food, and I would go to ring it up, and I would say, if you can tell me how much it is within 15 cents, I will give you your lunch free. I would do, and it wasn't my store, by the way. I didn't own this place, but I would do that all the time. I would say, if you can tell me within 15 cents how much it is, seriously, and people would just be like, no, and I would go, sir, I'm not kidding, and then they would guess and they would be wrong. But if they were right, I would give them their free lunch. And then I would have to pay for that lunch. In theory, I would have to do that if the manager was around, if he had heard me do that and make that deal. Because my friend, they were nice guys. Don, who ran the pizza place, he understood and he knew I was kind of silly. So I would actually do that. I would make I would say if it was going to be. And I actually tried to do that but then I'll tell you what, that does not work on the other side, folks. When you go somewhere. And you go to buy stuff and you say, I'll tell you what, if I can guess within 15 cents how much this is, do I get it free? People are often saying no, because they don't have the sense of adventure that I have when I'm working in retail. This might explain why I don't work in retail any longer. Because I was giving away free lunches on guessing games and forcing people out of business because I was giving away free food. What an idiot. All right. I am not a good job person, folks. All right, I had a job. All right, I shouldn't. All right, I worked at what was I talking about? There was something else before I get into the jobs. I ran into past me. Here's what happened, folks. I'm driving, and I'm on Sunset, or I'm on Highland, and I have to turn at a street to be. I don't want to tell you exactly where Lily lives, but I have to turn, and all of a sudden, this fucking car just cuts me off, just barrels right in front of me. Not even, we're all turning right on Sunset, and they just wedge in. There's no turn signal or nothing. Just boom, nose right in. And as they cut in front of me, I see Illinois license plate. And it takes me back to when I was a young man, and we would drive like that, and we would say, we're from Chicago. Literally, that was our excuse for driving like assholes. we would go, we're from Chicago. We got to be an aggressive driver. So we would cut people off and like turn right from the middle lane. I mean, just like stupid shit to make ourselves laugh. And we didn't really think we were justified in driving like assholes because we were from Chicago. But we would say it because it all started because my buddy Dennis, when he moved to Chicago, he was driving he had his Firebird once, and I drove with him, and I was white knuckling that ride like I was on a fucking roller coaster at Great America. It was the craziest drive I've ever been on in my life. I was doing the driver's ed thing where you think you have your own brakes on the passenger side and you're hitting the floor and you're like, dude, and he goes, fuck, Dennis looked at me and he goes, it's the city. You got to drive like this. He would do this thing where say there's 2 lanes of traffic. Okay, and then there's a right hand, like a turn lane. He would get in the right hand turn lane, and then when it turned green, he would floor it and basically drag race the people in the left lane to try to cut in front of them before he ran into parked cars. And he did it at every light. At every light, he would creep up around them and then fucking punch it to the floor and zip in. And I would go, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you driving like Dennis Andretti? It makes no sense. And he would just be like, dude, it's a city. You got to drive like this. Like he had adopted this weird persona that in the city. And by the way, it's not a weird persona for Dennis because Dennis was a cocky jagoff even when we lived, in the suburbs. It didn't matter where he went. He was just a cocky prick everywhere, okay? But apparently in the city, that it extended to his driving. So he would go ahead and punch it to the floor, and he'd be like, oh, man, we're in the city. We got to drive like this. So that became a thing where we would drive, and we would just, like I said, we would turn right from the middle lane, or we would run red lights, we would see a stop sign, and we could just go, we're not stopping at that stop sign, and we would drive right through and basically pray we didn't die. Like and hope. The only thing we didn't do was we should have just turned our lights off and drifted through, like in Twilight Zone, the movie with Albert Brooks. I mean, insane. But we would just go ahead and drive, and we'd just be like, oh, we're from Chicago. We got to drive like this. So that became a thing, and I actually took that with me on the road, folks, after I left Chicago. I would go when I went to Tahoe, but I didn't have a car in Tahoe. We would just, me and Ransom drove the red sled. Have I talked about the red sled? The MG where we had to set the fire in the car? And we had the windshield wipers on the shoelaces? No? I swear to God I told this story, but if I didn't, my buddy Ransom had a car. It was an MG midget, like an MG, one of those little convertible things, ragtop. But the ragtop was fucking destroyed. I mean, for some reason, it had like mold and holes. I mean, it was just ruined. So in the summer in Tahoe, it was great. In the winter in Tahoe, it was fucking horrible. And literally, he built a fire in his passenger seat, like to stay warm. Like we had put a little hibachi in his car, and I would ride in the back of the midget. I would be in the back of the red sled, and he'd be in the passenger seat or in the driver's seat, and we had a fire in the front. Driving with an open fire. So we would have our hands, we were warming up our hands over it. And because his heater didn't work that great. And again, it's a ragtop with holes in it, and it's fucking freezing in Tahoe. It snowed there on July 4th once. Like I was wearing Bermuda shorts and my beautiful Bugle Boy coral button-down shirt, and I went to go bounce at my bouncer job, and it just starts it's like snow in the air, like drifts. Not drifts. What if there were drifts of snow in the air? That'd be horrible. Instead, there was just flurries. But awful. It would be cold all the time. So we had the red sled, and also his windshield wipers didn't work. I told this story. And so we had to tie a shoelace on each windshield wiper, and I would pull one, and he would pull the other. So he would be on the driver's side, and I'd be in the back seat, and we'd pull jink, jink, and that's how we moved the windshield wipers, was we attached shoelaces to them. The red sled was not, it probably wasn't road safe. I'm going to say that. It ran great. It was really loud. But anyway, so I didn't have a car. We got around via the red sled, or I took the bus. And Jesus God, believe me, you'd much rather drive a car with an open flame than climb into a goddamn bus. Because they frown on an open flame in the bus. I can tell you, when you get on the bus and you try to set up the hibachi and you start to stoke the fire, they're just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're like, what? I got to keep warm somehow. They're like, we got the heater on. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm very cold. I'm a very cold man. I need warmth at all times. That's how I feel about showers. Seriously, I feel the same exact way. It's like with a shower, and I think honestly, all shower pressure should be that of a fire hose. I don't think there should ever be any. We have like water savers and bullshit out here. Fuck all that. Okay, I want to be John Rambo in the basement. That's the kind of shower I want. I want to be naked, up in a position with Brian Dennehy and David Caruso and another guy just blasting me with a fucking fire hose, and I'll mop up. I'll get cleaned up. That's what a shower should be, and it should be fucking hot. It should literally be. There shouldn't even be like a warm. It just be super hot, or your lobster, sir. That's what it should be, right? That fucking hot because I feel very, very dirty. And I need as much hot water as I can to get clean, folks. I don't care if it's good. Really? Future generations? I'm ruining things by using that much hot water? Could not care less. I do not have children. I have a godson. I hope the world is good for him when he gets older. But quite frankly, who cares? If right now I got to take a hot shower, and I mean a super fucking hot shower to where, like literally such a hot shower that I'll call my wife in and I'll go, hey, stick your hand in here. And she'll put her hand in and go, what are you doing? And I'll just be like, hot shower, right? But then I'll also fool her because then I'll turn all the hot water off and I'll take a freezing shower and I'll go, put your hand in here. She's like, no. And I go, come on, put your hand in here. She'll go, no. And I go, all right, you don't want to. And then, of course, she has to. And then she's like, oh, it's cold. And I'm like, yeah, see, I win. But I don't really win because I'm standing there in the freezing goddamn shower for 9 minutes trying to convince her. And then I got, and I can put my balls in a glass of tea and make it iced tea. So what the hell was I talking about? I don't know. I got a little sidetracked by ruining the future generations in the shower. Oh, okay. So this person cuts in front of me with their Illinois plate. But that was the idea. Like I said, we would say, it went from you're in the city, you got to drive like this, to we're from Chicago, we drive like this. So then when I moved to Tahoe, like I said, I didn't have a car. But then I would, when I would drive a car, I would have this weird attitude. Eventually, when I moved and I told you I got the Caprice Classic, that thing, again, like I said, it was Ron Braun's battle van. I just would fucking his war wagon. I would run over shit. So then, stupid me. Here's the thing: when you have your car and you do all that kind of stuff, that's great. You can go ahead and pull that stuff off and everything's going to be fine. But then I went to Las Vegas once and rented a car. And here it went from, hey, it's in the city, we got to drive like this, to, hey, we're from Chicago, we drive like this, to this trip this weekend I was in Vegas. I was there for 4 days, me and my buddy Sam. And I think Dennis was there too, as a matter of fact. Dennis showed up because this is the trip where we got flipped off by Red Fox. Which I told that story on here, right? Yeah, Red Fox flipped us off in a fucking drive-thru. All right, great. And now he's dead. Take that. See what happens when you flip me off, old man? Bum, bum, ba-dum, you're dead. All right, so we had the rental, and our rallying cry for the weekend was, it's a rental. So I'm not kidding you, we would make U-turns in the middle of the street over medians. Like, I mean, just this weird, I drove through hedges, folks. One time, we were like in a parking lot and I got frustrated because I couldn't find the way out and I was like, fuck this. And I drove through hedges. Just like, and they're just like looking at me like, seriously? And I'm not kidding. It was as if it was the Blues Brothers. I'm floored and they're like, dude. And I go, that's a rental. Wham. I mean, I drove through fucking hedges. What is wrong with me? But I did it. It's like when you were a kid and you would do donuts on people's lawns, or donuts in a parking lot. You didn't do that? Oh, come on. Who didn't do donuts on people's lawns? Folks, apparently I did things as a child that Lily was far too busy cutting off her bangs and having sex with strange guys. Because that's what you were, come on, you got around. All right, I don't know if that's true. I have no idea if that's true. But I presume somebody was having sex since I was not. I was busy destroying things because I could not have sex. That's the thing. I could not have sex as a youth, so I was very busy throwing eggs at people. All right, so I'm very fond of when something just happens. I like when there's just like calm and like 4 people make eye contact and then a bunch of crazy shit happens. Even now to this day, I kind of like it. Like that weird feeling of, all right, there's a vibe, like something strange is about to happen. And then just there's like a dust cloud, like in a fucking cartoon, and asterisks and question marks and ampersands fly out of it. And then afterwards your shirt is ripped and you got a bruise on your face and you don't know what the fuck just happened. God damn it, I love that. That's happened a lot to me. It's happened a lot. All right, so anyway, I'm driving today. And an Illinois plate cuts me off. And then we get to the next light, and she literally cuts across 2 lanes of traffic, and then turns on a red light and cuts in front of somebody. And I guess I've already burned this by telling you that I would drove like an idiot, but basically she drove like an idiot. So there you go. So it all came back to me. It literally past me showed up, cut me off, and made me remember when I was like, it's a rental, and just fucking drove over me. Went to a strip club. We went to a strip club, and parked like right at the front door. Like I pulled up as close to the front door as I could, and we went to get out, and the bouncer's just like, you can't fucking park here, and I go, it's a rental, and knowing full well I was going to move the car, folks. I mean, I know I'm not going to, because they're going to tow. Believe me, they have no, especially in Las Vegas, because it's literally just a town where a bunch of assholes show up every weekend. It's a different flood of assholes. It's as if Ellis Island, when all the immigrants were landing. Imagine if the boats were full of jagoffs. That's what Las Vegas is. Las Vegas is the Ellis Island of jagoffs. Literally just ships blow in, planes and cars come in filled with douchebags for every weekend in Las Vegas who think they're going to spend money on bottle service and get laid, and then they wind up at the end of the weekend with, fucking horrible coffee breath and on the plane realizing that they lost all their fucking money. Honestly. So I knew very well that I was not going to leave my car there, but I was like, it's a rental. But I was just dropping my friends off, and then, of course, I sheepishly backed off and then drove away. And then we went into the strip club, and my buddy Sam closed the deal, I'm sure, with some chick. We would sit there when we would go to strip club. Sam and I, because Sam looked like Freddie Mercury, but buff, like a buff Freddie Mercury. Imagine that. He was like really good looking, and we would go to strip clubs, and inevitably he would get them. He would let's put it this way: I would talk to them all night. And I would be funny and hysterical, and they would come over, and they would think I was great, and they would wind up sitting with us, and it was great. And then Sam would fuck them. And I talked about this. I know I talked about this. But yeah, so that's what happened in Vegas. All right, so what the hell was I talking about? So bangs, and that person cut me off, and it's a rental. Yeah, I think, you know what, folks? I think the opening of the show is finished.
Did you know the 40-year-old boy is a dork?
You're listening to The 40-Year-Old Boy, and later it's What Was That? An international band of ghost hunters shows the afterlife who's boss. What was that? What was that? What was that? They ain't afraid of no ghosts. What was that? On the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. What was that?
I like the idea of Las Vegas being the Ellis Island of jagoffs. I'm a fan of that. I think I'm gonna make something out of that. I don't know what, a shirt maybe? I don't know. Yeah, a shirt. That's what I'm gonna do. A shirt. Because apparently I'm Calvin Klein. I can just make clothes whenever I want. I can just come up with a clothing item, and up to 5 people will purchase it. All right. But because you know why? Because you go to Vegas, you do stupid shit that you'd never do. Like I said, when I'm in the rental cars, like I'm just driving around like an asshole. And I went to Vegas once in my first ever road gig out of California. I think my first ever road gig was at the Bahia, which was a resort in Mission Beach, California. I don't know, down near San Diego. But it was my first ever road gig, and I was all excited. And so I go down there, and I'm working at the Mission. I got the gig through somebody, and it's a weekend gig, and I'm in a hotel. It's awesome. They pay for your food. So I went and I go to the restaurant and I order my food, and I said I'm a comedian. They're like, oh, okay. So I ordered an appetizer, and then I had like dinner, and then I ate, whatever. I ate, and I go and do the shows. And then the next day I go to the restaurant, and the waiter was just like, what do you want? And he was a nice guy, this waiter that I'd made this story means nothing. It's going nowhere. Bottom line is, my first ever road gig, at the end of it, I go to get paid. And then I said, the guy, Randy Butler, was the guy who booked it. And I'm like, hey, I'd love to talk about coming back. And he's like, you violated the meal policy. I said, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, when you get a meal, you get a meal. You don't get appetizer or salad or soup or dessert or whatever else you ordered. He goes, I'm getting checks from you, and your dinner is like, $25-$30. You should get like a hamburger and be happy with it. I go, and let me tell you again, there's pressure on me because I'm fat. Okay, there's nothing a fat guy wants to hear more than, oh, dude, you're such a pig. You ate so much food, and now you can't work because of it. I mean, it was the most embarrassing fucking thing in the world. But the thing is, I was just ordering food, and nobody told me a goddamn thing at the restaurant. I even ate with the headliner, who was a guy named Brian Bradley, really cool guy, did an improv show every single night where he improvised a murder mystery. Really friendly, nice man. And he and I ate, and he ordered food too. And I'm wondering if he got the same goddamn speech, or he couldn't fucking come back. But of course he didn't, because he's the headliner. Headliner never gets that speech. Headliner can get whatever the fuck you want. Headliner can eat. He can order pizza and tag it onto the club's bill. Who cares? Nobody cares. Headliner can call the chef in the middle of the night. I wouldn't know because I'm not the headliner, but apparently the headliner can call the chef in the middle of the night and say, hey, cook me some food. It's like being in the White House, when the president can go ahead and call the chef at any time he wants. He goes, hey, make me some chicken wings and some goddamn fried rice. And then he has to do it. That's why I want to be president, folks. Again, it's my theory of whenever you're the best in the world at something, you can get somebody to make food for you at all hours of the day. That's what I need. So that's why I want to become president, is so I can have a bowling alley downstairs and I can, do my fantasy baseball team and pick up a phone and call some guy and have him make me pancakes. So, but the guy, he's like, you violated the meal policy. And again, it's a weird situation for me because I've never been on the road before. I don't know anything about it. And I was very careful to be nice to I was, respectful. And granted, I'm a nice guy anyway. I'm not a dick. And I would never violate anything. I don't drink. I'm not, I went to my room. I didn't try to bang, because I was always told, don't bang the waitresses, don't do any of this. So I was very friendly to everybody, but I stayed out of everybody's way. Because again, it's my first fucking gig on the road. I don't know what the hell's happening. But I loved the fact that they fed me, so I'd get like a hamburger and, like some fries and then maybe like some, who fucking knows what I ordered. But apparently it was enough to violate the meal policy and set off alarms, bells, and whistles in the fucking office of Randy Butler, who decided I could never come back because I was the opener. That was really my main violation, folks. I was the opener. That was it. I think because I was funny. I got laughs all weekend. Brian liked me. Cat Simmons, the middle, liked me. Everybody seemed to be getting along fine. We were getting along swimmingly, folks, if I might say so. This is 1991, so I've been doing stand-up about a year. Yeah, a little over a year. And I get booked at Catch in Vegas, and I'm going to go out there. And the cool thing is, I'm in Southern California. I used to live in Tahoe. Well, the guys I lived with in Tahoe, Ransom and Craig, Ransom of the aforementioned Red Sled, they live in Vegas now because they're dealers. They're croupier dealers and poker dealers. So I'm excited because I'm going to go see them, and they're going to come and see me do comedy. And it's like, hey, look, former local boy makes good, and everybody will be happy. So I call Ransom and I tell him I'm coming out there, and he mentions that he's excited about it, but he also asks me a favor. He's banging some chick who lives in Riverside. And he asks me if I can pick her up and bring her with me to Vegas. What? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, where's she going to stay? He goes, oh, she'll stay with me. Everything will be fine. He goes, but if she can just get a ride with you, that'd be great. And she'll hang out all weekend. And part of me's like, okay, it's not a problem because, again, they're my friends and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I'm coming to hang out for the weekend. It's like a guy's weekend. Why am I bringing a fucking bim to Vegas? It makes no sense. But, all right, so no problem. That's fine. I can do it. So I go to pick her up in Riverside, and she's really nice, by the way. I meet her, and I can't remember her name, okay, but I'm going to call her Natasha because she had like really short hair like a Natasha would, like a Russian would, and not short bangs, by the way. We've covered that. That would be awful. But she had like a kind of a pixie-ish type of, she really looked good, and just this rockin' body. So I was excited just to stare at her tits for the entire drive to fucking Vegas. That was fine with me because she's wearing like a tank top and shorts. So I'm like, all right, good. I get to look at a tank top the entire trip. And oh, what are those nipples? I'm glad you brought those. So we get in the car, and I know she's gonna bang Ransom, but who cares? So we get along great in the car, and we get to Vegas. Everything's gonna be great. I'm there. I drop her off. We hang out at their place for a while. I go do my show. They come out. It's a fucking great time. I'm killing. Things are really good. And I wind up having a long talk with Winston, who books the Catch. We talk. I don't know why she took a shine to me and wanted to talk to me. I sit in her office. We talked for 2 hours one night. And she, you know what? It was funny. I'll tell you this. In 1991, she was telling me about a guy. Like, she was like raving about 2 comics that she was like, oh my God, they're going to be huge. They're so good. I can't get enough of them. There was a comic named Ron Schock, who she loved. And Ron is very funny. Ron was a friend of Bill Hicks's, I believe. And did he become one of the Outlaws? I don't know. He was from Texas, but I think he's still doing it too, and Ron's very funny. And then the other guy that she could not stop raving about was a guy I'd never heard of, and quite frankly, she couldn't stop talking about him to the point where I was like, all right, I get it. He's good. I don't need to hear it. What did you think of me? Quite frankly, because I'm self-involved. But she could not stop raving about a guy named Lewis Black. She was like, oh my God, this guy Lewis Black, he's going to be such a huge star, and da-da-da. And this is in 91. So if you look at, I didn't hear about Lewis Black again until what, 2004? So that was 13 years. She was way ahead of the curve because she was fucking all over Lewis Black. But for 13 years, he wandered. I'm sure, you know what he did for 13 years? He worked for Winston. I'm sure that's what he did because she raved about him so much. I'm sure she signed him to a 13-year deal until he got to be famous. She was like, you know what, work for me until you're famous, and then that's it. That's all I care about. But she could not have been nicer. Everything was great. Everything was going well. So that weekend was also a football playoff weekend, and the Bears were in the playoffs playing the Dallas Cowboys. And this was the Dallas Cowboys of Jimmy Johnson and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. And it was they were a young team, and it was their first entry into the playoffs, whereas the Bears were, they were just, the Bears. They were good. They'd been good for a long time. Not good enough to win the Super Bowl, but, good, but still good. So Bears Cowboys that week, and we could have watched it down in the casino, but I'm like, dudes, let's watch it in my room. We'll order food and we'll get because I could not get over the fact that I was in Vegas in a hotel and they were paying for it. It was like the greatest feeling in the world, and so I was like, let's get room service. It'll be awesome. And I was into the entire experience. So fucking Ransom and Craig and Natasha come over to my room, and we're watching the Bears play the Cowboys. And we ordered food, and then we got 2 6-packs of soda, and and some beers, and there might have been some other tequila. I don't know. There was stuff there. I'm not drinking. I will tell you, I'm not drinking because again, I got shows that night. I'm very professional, and I don't fucking drink anyway. But Natasha's tied a few on. And everybody, and then she and Ransom start making out like on my bed. It was like really creepy. Like they start going at it, like kind of like grabbing to the point where I look at Craig and I think I mentioned that when you make eye contact, there's different levels of eye contact where you're like, and so I make eye contact with Craig like, are we going to get to see them fuck? And if so, are we going to be involved in any way possible? Is that going to happen? Like, 'cause she seemed fun in the car. So, I mean, now I'm thinking, hey, she keeps a couple of belts in her and, this afternoon's about to take shape. I'm excited about it. But they're rolling around and, I mean, she's like basically sitting on, she's straddling him and they're making out. And I'm looking at Craig and she takes her shirt off. And I'm like, well, all right, this is getting good. And now we're at halftime, and they're making out. And now I'm thinking it's like part of the halftime show. I'm like, beautiful. This is working out perfectly for me. I don't need a second half analysis because right now it looks like I got a drive that's about to be completed for a touchdown here in my bed. But then I'm freaking out because then I'm like, are you going to fuck in my hotel room and are you going to tell me to leave? Like, what? I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. But she has a bra, like a bikini top on, so because they had been down at the pool earlier, so that's when she took her shirt off. She got a bikini top on, and they're making out. And I look at Craig, and Craig looks at me, and Craig's drinking, and finally I look over at Ransom, and I go, "Did you guys want to be alone? I mean, because Craig and I could go, I guess, sit in the bathroom for the rest of the afternoon." And they just started laughing. They're like, no, haha, whatever. Is the game on yet? And we're like, okay. So then she's on his lap, and they're laying there in the bed. And part of me is like, I should have interrupted because I should have just seen how far they would have fucking gone. That would have been all. Maybe they forgot we were here. Maybe alcohol clouded them so much to the point where they wind up, completely banging it. And then they look up and like, oh, hi, guys. But it was stupid. I should have let that happen. But I did. You know why? Because the Bears. That's why. If it would have been any other game, I probably wouldn't have cared. But like the Bears were about to start the second half, so I was like, excuse me, could you guys stop fucking? We're about to watch some football. Because again, if you're not getting laid, football's king unless you're getting laid. So if you're not the one getting laid, you got to watch the game. Back then for me. Now, who cares? But anyway, then I was intense. So I'm watching the game, and then it's unfolding very badly, and the Bears are losing to Steve Berline at home. The Bears are at home and losing to Steve Berline and the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just, again, you don't want to lose to the Cowboys, especially with Steve Berline. And then it's just watching it, and so this black mood overtakes me. And as I'm watching it finish, and Ransom and Craig are just kind of like, oh, man, that's a fucking drag. And I'm like, yeah. So the game's nearing the end, and we're sitting in this room. There's just like plates and food everywhere, and we're watching this game fucking taper off. I've got a chick in a bikini top. She's making out with my friend. And the Bears lost, and I'm so fucking mad that the Bears lost. So then, as the time is ticking off, I've got a soda in my hand, and the Bears game ends, and the Bears lose, which means they're out of the playoffs. And I'm on the bed, and I just go, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like really pissed off. And they're like, calm down, dude. And I'm like, God damn it. I just fuck. And I have an empty soda can, like I said, in my hand. I just throw it. Bing! And it bings off the television set. And it just, it just goes flying. And I'm like, damn it. And I sit back in the bed and I put my arms down. And I look over at Craig. And Craig looks at me like with kind of like a raised eyebrow. And he goes, yeah, fuck this. And he throws a soda can. Bing! And it bounces off the television. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Unbelievable. Fucking Bears. And Ransom goes, yeah, fuck this. And Ransom grabs a plate that had like half a sandwich on it, and he throws it at the television. Yeah, spang. It just bounces off. There's sandwich all over and soda cans. And there's this moment where it's got, like, literally the noise is still in the air of the plate hitting, like, pong. And we're sitting there, and I make eye contact. And like I said earlier, there are times when you make eye contact and then just crazy shit breaks out. Sure enough, I make eye contact with Craig, and he looks at me, and we both look at Ransom, and Ransom kind of smiles, and we destroy the room. we just go, yeah, fucking bears, and we just start throwing everything at the television, like empty cans and like fucking. There was a shot glass that got winged across the room, food, and we just start, and then we start wrestling. Like I jump up in the air and I'm like, yeah, god damn it, and I jump on Ransom, and he and I are wrestling, and I pick him up and I body slam him on the bed, and then Craig dives off the table that was there, and we just start fucking knocking chairs over, and Natasha runs, like she just gets up, and she should have stayed and quite frankly been involved in the wrestling, but she literally, it's this weird. It's great because if you ever see Pink Floyd The Wall, there's a scene where Bob Geldof goes insane and the woman runs in slow motion to get away from him because he's destroying a room. That's what happened. We just start trashing, like we're the Rolling Stones all of a sudden because the Bears lost. We made eye contact and we just start destroying this room, throwing shit. We throw my clothes. They fucking take my clothes out of the closet and they throw my clothes and I jump on him because he's in the fucking closet. I pick Ransom up and I throw him over the fucking bed and then Craig comes up and he fucking punches me in the chest and I fucking tackle him on the ground and Ransom's on my back and we're just like three-way fucking brawling and then we're throwing cans and food and everything and we're destroying this room and then I stand up in the bed and I'm like, fuck that, and I fucking whip a soda can and it hits Ransom right in the eye. Like, I mean, I'm not even, because again, we're not even thinking. I just whip it and it's like, ping! And he's just like, oh, you fucking asshole. And he picks up a fucking, like, a full soda can, okay? Because we've been throwing empty soda cans at this point. He picks up a full soda can and he throws it at me as hard as he can. I duck. It hits the wall behind me and it explodes. Just soda everywhere. And there's a huge, like, picture. Like, if you ever go to a hotel room and they got those shitty pictures in a frame, it hit the edge of the frame and the picture just goes and it falls off the floor and hits the ground and the soda explodes and you just hear that noise that and there's soda everywhere. We're flying. The room's destroyed and I just fucking collapse. Once the picture hits the ground, it makes this loud noise and we all look at each other like, wait a minute. What the fuck are we doing? And I slump back on the bed. And I look around and we're just like, that thing where you're just like out of breath and laughing. Like, it's like little kids. We turned into little kids for like, fucking 5 minutes and started fighting and brawling and breaking shit in the room. Like, and Natasha just like peeks out of the bathroom. Like, are you guys done in there? Is it safe to come out? We're like, yeah, come on out. And we can't stop laughing. And we're looking around. And all of a sudden it dawns on me, oh, this fucking room is destroyed. Destroyed. Fucking lampshade has a hole in it. Someone threw a soda can and went through the lampshade. Because I know, like, the light was out and I look over, a huge rip in a fucking lampshade. But thank God the painting didn't break. I mean, like, the only thing we did was we ripped and dude, have you ever tried to rip a lampshade in a goddamn hotel room? That had to be winged. I don't know if it was a butter knife that went through or whatever, but it was a pretty big hole, whatever it was that fucking did it. But we just started, like, all my clothes are all over. There's food everywhere. I got a show that night. And it's funny because, quite frankly, if I got banned from Catch a Rising Star for that, I would respect that. That's not violating the meal policy. I went bananas. Literally my first road gig, out of state, because the other one was, that was a road gig in state. This is now my first out of state road gig, and it's Vegas. So again, the second you cross the state line into Nevada, you're a fucking douchebag, and we just destroyed this room. It was like we trashed a hotel room, flipped the table over, fucking chairs are everywhere, food, sandwich crusts, and my clothes are everywhere, throwing soda cans. He threw a fucking full soda can at me. It bounced off the wall and exploded. Psst, like they're still, literally, we're laying there laughing, and you can just hear you can hear the soda still draining out. So, I'm a fan of that when just chaos happens. Literally, when you just make eye contact with somebody and you're like, oh, hey, that shit's about to happen, right? Yeah, let's throw down. It was early in life. We did it when I was a kid. We were at my house one time. We wound up, for some reason, I think it was my junior year, maybe my senior year, my first senior year. We decided that we were going to spend every Monday night at a different guy's house watching Monday Night Football. That was just what we were going to do. So we were going to watch Monday Night Football at everybody's house. Well, my mom, the week I had it, my mom went out and spent like a ton of money on lunch meat. Like, she bought this huge fucking spread, man. It was awesome. Like, pickles and lunch meat and like 4 kinds of bread, and all my friends are gonna come over, and it was like, dude, your mom rules. I'm like, yeah. It was like, it wasn't like going over to Mex's mom's house and she made homemade Mexican food. That was fucking amazing. But still, my mom tricked the place out. It was great. So we're watching the game. It was a boring fucking game. I forget. It might have been Giants-Lions. I mean, it was really just terrible in the 80s. Those teams were awful. So early 80s. It's like 82. So the Giants were really bad. They got better later. All right, who cares? Nobody cares. Because I don't want to make it sound like, because the Giants were good later. They won Super Bowls and they did very well in like 86. But in like 82 or whatever, they fucking stunk. So everybody comes to my house and same deal. There's like, maybe 10 of us in the house watching football. It's horrible. We're bored. And so I go in the kitchen and I grabbed some cheese, individually wrapped processed, like Kraft cheese singles. And I walk out into the fucking living room and I just start throwing it ninja style. Just fucking whipping cheese at my friends in my house. And then all of a sudden, that's it. It's on. Everybody stands up. They start grabbing shit. We start throwing fucking lunch meat and fucking, everybody's throwing ham. And the cheese wars are the best because we had fucking cheese wars. You'd jump out because they were, seriously, go buy some Kraft singles right now and try to throw them. Just grab them like a playing card between your fingers and they fly. They make a great noise because that little flap in there goes like, and it's genius. So we wind up having cheese wars in my house because, again, with just this pent-up aggression of being young kids or whatever, we're throwing meat, we're throwing food, and again, we just start laughing, and then we decide, you know what, fuck this, we got to go have a battle royale. So I don't know how it happened, but we decided, we went down to, there was an elementary school in my neighborhood. We went down to the elementary school, middle of the night. I mean, it's like, it might be 10 o'clock at night. Like fucking 10 high school kids go down, and we just started fighting in outside of Woodview Elementary School. Just had a battle royale. Just jumping on each other and throwing punches and fucking rolling around and just laughing. Just a huge battle royale. And I think my mom came downstairs. She's finally like, where did everybody go? And my little brother's like, they went for a battle royale. I guess they'll be right back, I assume. So sure enough, we wind up having this battle royale, and then we just go back to my house. We get back, there's like, bloody elbows and fucking dirty grass-stained pants and fucking messed up hair. We're just like, you just look around at one another. You're just like, man, what just happened there? It's literally, I've had so many moments where it just seems like you black out for 10 minutes and do a bunch of crazy shit with your friends. I think it's awesome. I don't get enough of that anymore. I'm 42. It doesn't happen nearly enough. Karen and I never have some blackout moment where at the end of it we wake up and we're covered in blood and we're like, yeah, that was hysterical. Wasn't that awesome? Because literally, to this day, we tell the Battle Royale story and the cheese wars. We had cheese wars in my house, we're throwing cheese and lunch meat at one another. And thank God we took it outside, because if we'd had the Battle Royale in my house, my mom would have come down and beaten the shit out of all of us. My mom doesn't fuck around. But yeah, so instead we just we went outside and had a Battle Royale. That was it. That's how it works, folks. All you got to do, you know what you need to do? That's the recipe for fun, not disaster. It's the recipe for fun. Get 4 of your friends and sit in a house and then make eye contact. Just like literally kind of furtively glance around and then make eye contact, and then everybody just goes, oh, yeah, it's on. And a bunch of crazy shit will happen, and you'll thank me later.
You're listening to The 40-Year-Old Boy. Coming up next, wait a minute, you bought a kite? On the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
And now, the 40-Year-Old Boy presents A Tale from the Road.
1998, the Hollywood Improv, my first show since I moved back from Chicago. And when you're on the list there, celebrities will come in and sometimes bump you down the list. Well, I'm waiting, and a guy who does sound effects comes in, and he goes on before me.
Hey, you're a great crowd. What's that? Is that a helicopter coming in? What's that, Lassie? Timmy's stuck in a well?
His standing ovation lasted 41 minutes. I didn't even get on stage. I just got in my car, drove home practicing zipper noises.
This has been A Tale from the Road, from the 40-Year-Old Boy.
It's funny, Lily says that maybe you won't thank me later. She's like, will I really thank you later? You probably won't. But, if you're sitting there with a bloody nose and a ripped pocket on your shirt, and then you're like, hey, that was great. That was really fun. Unless you do something really bad. Like, by the way, speaking of that, the voodoo doll, remember I mentioned last week? The voodoo doll of me and the calf and all that stuff. My calf felt great today. And so I was walking to the car, and I started walking like a normal person instead of, kind of favoring it, and it popped again. So I don't know. I've got just this ball. I think I have calf cancer. I don't know if that's possible, but I got a ball of something on my calf, on my left calf. But that's okay, no, because I'm limping a little bit there anyway, because guess what I did yesterday? I broke my toe. Yeah. Yeah, I'm walking in my house with no shoes on. I usually wear shoes everywhere. I wear shoes in the shower. I hate being barefoot, folks. I think I've covered that. I am not a hillbilly. I need my feet covered at all times. And yesterday I got up, I woke up, and I walked to go, I was going to go close the blind so I could go take a shower. And I walk out into the living room barefoot, and Karen has a big, like a travel bag on the ground, and I kicked it. with my left foot and broke my little toe. I'm pretty sure I broke it because it hurt. And now it's like black and blue, like crazy black and blue. And there's like a divot in the middle of it. Like if you run your finger over it, there's like a little, yeah. And the thing is, Karen's like, you want to go to the emergency room? I'm like, no, because what are they going to do? They're going to go, your toe's broken, and they're going to charge me $100. They can't put a cast on it or do anything because I've done this before when I was a kid. It's either broken or it's badly sprained. I don't know. I've seen broken toes before because one time my dad came home after a bar fight with a broken toe. Good for you, Dad. I don't know what he did to break his toe in a bar fight. I'm hoping some guy stomped on his foot or something. He also had a couple of broken ribs, so at least he acquitted himself well. Because here's my dad. My dad would drink, and then he'd be like, yeah, buddy, meet me outside. Well, that guy would have 5 friends, and they'd have a fucking blanket party on my dad. And then he'd come home with broken ribs, and my mom would have to give him a bath. And my 8-year-old self would have to look at him and be like, hey, that's my role model. All right, so. And then my brothers and I would all make eye contact, and a huge brawl would break out. And then we'd have fun. Because we'd forget the fact that my dad was a drunk who had just gotten his ass kicked. All right, so. There's not, you will thank me later, trust me, because when I was a kid, and again, it happened all the time when I was a kid. It doesn't happen so much anymore. Because everybody has kids now. You know, that's what I need to do. I need to go to my friend's house where they have kids and make eye contact with their kids. And then when I'll make eye contact with their kids, and then all of a sudden we start throwing fucking, bottles and bowls around, and then my friends are like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, what? No. What? Huh? I was a kid. We were, I had a buddy named Danny Laporta when we were kids. And Danny was like a mythical creature. He was our friend in high school, but he was like the friendliest. He was like Paul Bunyan. That's who Danny was like. He was just this big, strapping fucking, like, the kind of guy, he had a mustache and a beard in high school. You know those dudes? Like, we had 2 guys. We had Lou Rinaldi and we had and Laporta, and they had fucking full mustache and beard in high school. Just a man's man, even at 16. And he was great. And but at the same time, he was a guy. He was always happy until he got mad. He was the completely opposite of me. Okay, it was like I'm a guy who was always mad, and then hey, guess what? I'm sort of happy at once. But he was just a guy who was just like really gregarious and easygoing. But then when he got mad, you would just see the switch turn, and there'd be like, oh, no, don't fuck with Laporta. Seriously? So I guess this is the Ballad of Danny Laporta. That's what I'm telling you. So he was the guy. We went one time, he and I went to NIU, Northern Illinois, and it was me, him, and the guys in his crew, Bob and Sam and Jim. And we all went down there, and this is my first time ever hanging out with them without my buffer friends. You know, because my friends were Dave and Jeff and Dennis, and all of us got together and we all had a great time, but I wasn't friends with Danny like Jeff was friends with Danny. You know how you have friends like that? You're friends with like an extended group of people, but you've got your crew, and then you get together with the other crew, and then it's like buffer. You got your friends there. Well, I went to NIU with just Danny and his crew, and that was when we got to be actually better friends because they found out I was fucking hysterical. That was my favorite part. Was we went and I was hilarious the entire time we were down there. They're drinking, I'm not drinking, so I'm just funny. But Danny called out a frat. Like, we were going like to frat parties, and then this frat wouldn't let us in. So Danny pounded on the door, and he basically challenged this entire frat to come out and fight. And it's funny because Sam and Bob and Jim, because this is my first exposure to them. I mean, I've got my friends, and we're jackasses. All right, we're just jackasses, but we're not jackasses who are going to fight. I mean, we've been in fights, but we were never really looking for trouble. We were the kind of guys who threw cheese at one another. That's who me and my friends were, okay? But Danny and them, they got a few beers in them down at NIU. We couldn't get into this frat. Danny calls them out, and I look at like Bob and Sam and Jim, and they're ready to fight. They just like basically line up behind Danny. So I line up behind Danny, figuring I guess I'm involved in this brawl now, and nobody would come outside. And we just threw snowballs at their fucking windows, daring them to come outside, and nobody would come outside. That's who Danny was. Danny, you could just tell from his presence. I mean, dude, he walked up and pounded on their door and fucking basically said, come on out. Let's go. Come on out. And we started throwing snow and shit at their windows, and there's a party going on. You would think at a college, at a party, at least a few guys would be ready to jam. They wanted nothing to do with it because they knew. You knew when you looked at fucking Danny. You're like, again, full beard. He must have looked like a truck driver who was passing through town, and he had 4 delinquent sons, and they were behind him because that's what we looked like. We looked like his kids because Danny was a man. He was a man from the jump, and so we're just lined up behind him, ready for anything that's going to happen. I thought it was hysterical. I'm like, I can't believe Danny's calling out a frat. This is beautiful. So we would go out and we would, drink at the back roads, and they'd wind up. One time I saw Jim Harbin fight a guy, and Jim was just on top. I think I told this story. Jim was nuts. Jim was a crazy dude, and Jim was on top of a guy and just started headbutting him in the face. Like their arms were tied up, so Jim just kept wailing, just driving his head right into the guy's face over and over, laughing. This weird like giggle. Oh, dude. So that was those guys. I mean, and then they hooked up with some guys from Romeoville named Ernie and Tom, and so it was a bad crew sometimes. So anyway, we were hanging out. So Danny, we used to date this girl named Pam, and we would all hang out together. It was Pam, and then she had her friends, the twins, who were Mary and Kathy, or the twins, or whatever. I can't give last names. I've given enough last names already. But it was Pam and Mary and Kathy and Kim, and our weekends would entail was we would wind up probably at Pam's house or our friend Brian's house and drink. That's all we would do is we would hang out and drink, and then eventually we'd go to Noggles. That was like we'd play Toto and slow dance. That was it. That was our whole lives. So we would be at Brian's house, or we'd be at Pam's, or we'd go to Kathy and Mary's. So or we would go out and vandalize because one time I was out with my buddy Pete. I think I've told you about Pete before. Pete was the guy who, when we went to the house party, he goes, "Here's my fucking toga," and he flexed in the guy's face, and we got in. All right. And if you're new to the show, please, by year one, you'll know what I'm talking about. As I'm finding out, some people are sampling this show one episode at a time. So it's me and Pete, and I believe Woj is with us, and we're out driving around, and we're egging cars. That's all we're doing. We're just driving around. We've got about 10, 12 dozen eggs, and we're just throwing eggs. We're driving around throwing eggs, and it's I should tell you, it's winter. So, that's no fun for people when they come out to their car and there's frozen egg on their car. But it's hysterical for us. We think it's great. So we're driving around egging people. And that was something we did a lot. We would egg and, smash mailboxes and, you TP houses and do all. I put a sprinkler in a guy's car once. That was great. Did I tell that story on here? I did that, right? I told that. I basically, we were driving late at night and some guy had a sprinkler out on his lawn and it was watering his entire lawn. And I was pissed. I'm like, dude, that guy's wasting water. So rather than go turn off the faucet, I walked up to the sprinkler. And by the way, stupid me, I could have turned it off, picked it up and done this. But no, I left it running. So I'm soaked. I'm fucking soaked to the bone. I walk up, I pick up the sprinkler, I bring it over to the guy's car, and I open it, I put it in his car, and then I close the door just enough so the light will turn off, but the sprinkler's going in his car. And it's one of those back and forth sprinklers. So you just see it. The inside of his car looks like a car wash. If you've ever driven through a car wash in your car and seen the outside, imagine that on the inside of a car. So we were vandals. So we used to drive around egging, and so I'm out with Pete and Woj and we're egging cars. So then we come upon a car, we're driving, and this car has its windows down. And we can't believe it. It's like winter. And it's nighttime. It's late. It's like 2 a.m, and they got their windows down. We're like, we got to teach this fucking guy a lesson. So we basically do 5 dozen eggs on this guy's car. I mean, we just smash them. We're throwing it. And again, it's dark out, so we can't see. There's no street light. We're just bombing it with fucking eggs. Then we bomb the inside of the car. We get out of our car, and we're real quiet, and we just start whipping eggs onto the dashboard. And and again, it's cold out. I mean, it's just, folks, we're not good people. Or we are now. We've all grown up to be good people. But at the time, we weren't. So we split. We drive away. And we're laughing. We can't stop laughing. We think it's fucking hysterical that we buried that guy's car. So then we're throwing more eggs at other cars. And then we come around and we go, you know what? Let's go back to see what it's like, because we want to see the frozen egg or whatever. So we get there. It's so bad. Egg white is frozen on the steering wheel, and it's hanging off like stalactites, like or like icicles off of your gutter in the winter. It's like frozen egg white is all over. It's genius. I mean, it looks fucking genius. So we're like, this is hilarious. Let's just fucking use the rest of our eggs. We just destroy the rest of the car. We egg it from top to bottom, front to back, and then use the rest on the inside, and we laugh our ass off. And then we had frozen beer. I should tell you that, because we used to like hide our beer in somebody's backyard, and then you'd go pick it up. Well, we had bottles of like Michelob that weekend. I forget why, but it froze. So as we're egging that house, or egging that car, I should say, we egg the shit out of it. I take our last frozen beer, and I turn around and I just whip it as hard as I can at a house, like a brick house. And I don't even know why. I wasn't even thinking. I just turned around and I just fucking, I fire this beer bottle, and it's a brick house, and it hits above their front door. Thank God it didn't go through a window or something, because I didn't aim or anything. I literally just turned around and whipped it. Like, it was just that stupid thing where you just do something. All right, again, I'm not smart. And again, maybe you didn't do this. Maybe it was just me. But I whipped this frozen beer bottle, and it just fucking smashes. Again, brick house, and it just, and it makes a great noise, and it flies everywhere, and it's like, so now the next day when those people wake up, there's glass and beer like all over their fucking, what a dick. I am not a good person, folks. I am now. Again, I am now. Things have changed, but I wasn't then. Or I was a good guy, but we were having fun. All right, so anyway. The next day, I wake up, and I get a phone call from Pete, and he's like, oh, dude, we're fucked. Dude, we're fucked. And I go, what? And he goes, dude, you remember, we egged everything last night. And I go, yeah. Oh, no. Did somebody fucking recognize your car? And he goes, dude, you remember that car we egged with all everything that was, the windows open and shit? And I go, yeah. I go, that was fucking hysterical. And he goes, dude, that was Laporta's car. I go, what? He goes, that was Danny's car. I go, why the fuck did we egg Danny's car? He goes, it was dark, like we didn't even notice, because it was outside of Bob's house. We weren't even thinking, because when you're driving around egging, when you're driving around your suburb, your hometown, and you're just destroying shit, sometimes you don't realize where you're at. You're just making left turns, you're turning right, you're going here, you're going there. We didn't realize that we were on Bob's street, and Danny had crashed at Bob's. And it was dark, so we didn't really put it together. We were like, this is Danny's car. We fucking egged the shit out of Danny's car. I mean, like 20, literally 10 dozen eggs inside and out. We massacred his car. This is a guy who called out a frat, and the frat wouldn't fight him. And again, Pete knows Danny more than I do, and all I can think of is, we're going to get fucking murdered. They're going to murder us. Danny's going to murder us. And he's like, well, dude, just, we can't say anything. And I go, well, how did you fucking find out about it? He goes, Jeff called me, and Danny called him and said somebody fucked his car up with eggs. And I said, well, did you tell Jeff that it was us? He goes, yeah. I go, why did you tell Jeff it was us? He goes, well, I had to tell him. And it was just, I guess it was caught me off guard. I go, oh, dude, what the fuck? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? He goes, I don't know. We got to do something. We got to call Danny. Why do we got to call Danny? Well, fuck, if we tell him that it was an accident, it'll be fine. He'll be fine with it. I said, Pete, we put like a month's worth of breakfast in this guy's fucking car. I mean, we did the inside of his car. Pete, we did the inside of his car. He goes, yeah, you're right. But we got to call him. I go, fuck, all right. I mean, that's fine if you want to call him, I guess. Do you want me there when you call him? He goes, no, I'll call him. And I go, okay, all right, you handle it. That's fine. So he called Danny, and again, we were friends. We were all friends, but I mean, that's not exactly a friendly thing to do. So he calls Danny, and he straightens it out. So we go out that night, and we see Danny, and Danny, he's just like, he's laughing. He's just kind of like, oh. He goes, I can't believe that you guys egged my car. And I said, well, like, what happened? And it turns out Pete had called him that day, and then they went to the car wash, and Pete helped them, and they cleaned it all, and they did whatever they could do. But the inside of his car still smells like a fucking hen house. I mean, it's like awful. So I'm like, all right, well, are we cool? I mean, everything's cool, right? We're cool, right? And everybody's like, yeah, everything's cool. Ha ha, everything's fine. So then the next week, apparently, Danny and Jimmy and Bob and Sam went to Pete's house. And I should tell you, I didn't have a car. So I guess that's why I got off. I got off light because, again, I didn't have a vehicle. They went into Pete's garage and in the middle of the night, and I guess quietly, I would assume, egged Pete's car from, I mean, everything. Just egged Pete's car and his parents' car. And then wrapped toilet paper all around both cars. So then you got to get, so then the egg's dry and then there's paper on it and you got to like kind of chip the paper off and just so I guess they were even is the bottom line. So I guess that was That was them squared away. That was fine. So, and again, somehow I got off. I got nothing bad happened to me. They didn't come after me. I guess I was just a bystander because I didn't drive, and because Pete called them. I guess maybe if I would have called them, there would have been a problem. I have no idea. But regardless, I stayed out. But that's Danny. All right, that'll tell you about Danny. So one night we wind up. And we're at, again, we would wind up drinking with the girls, and then something would happen, and we would piss the girls off, and then we would wind up in one room, and the girls would wind up in the other room. And it was always, it would always turn out where they'd be bitching about us, and we'd be bitching about them in another room. And again, when I say we, I mean, all these guys were dating these girls, and I was just like a fat nobody who just hung out. I mean, I was the funny guy who hung out with them. So I had no girlfriend to bitch about, but it was still, I'd be like, yeah, jerks. So, one day we're at Kathy and Mary's house, and we wind up, again, there winds up being a fight. And so downstairs are Kim and Kathy and Mary and Pam, and I think Eileen was there, I'm not sure. But then we go upstairs, and it's me and Jeff and Danny and Jim and Bob, and we're all upstairs, and we're griping and they're griping, and we're in this small room. We're in Kathy and Mary's parents' room, and we're in their bedroom. I don't know why. It's like, because we were in the living room, and then what happened was, like I said, we would bitch about them, they'd bitch about us, and literally Danny, I don't know why this was funny to us, but we would be in the other room, and you would hear them bitching, and we would just start laughing, and they hated it, because they'd be like, yeah, you know what, you guys, you should just fucking leave, or whatever, and then it would be quiet, and then Danny would just go, fuck. Like, he would just yell fuck for no reason. And they'd be like, shut up in there, Danny, and they'd be pissed at him. And so they were like, get out of here. So we went upstairs. So we're in the Kathy and Mary's parents' room. And again, it's like 6 dudes in there, and we're like bitching about the chicks, and we're like, oh man, this is fucking unbelievable, and we're drinking. And again, that thing happens where it's just quiet and it kind of settles down. And we're all on the bed, like there's 2 or 3 of us on the bed. So Danny's on the bed, and he's on the bed with Jimmy, and then he like elbows Jimmy. And then Jimmy kind of elbows him. And then they just kind of start like kind of pushing around, and they start wrestling a little bit. And then again, there's 6 of us, so they start wrestling, and we're just kind of like, everybody kind of clears out of the way, and then and all of a sudden a lamp gets knocked off the table, like clunk clunk, doesn't break, it gets knocked off and it falls on the ground. So it's that thing where something happens and you immediately stop. Everybody kind of stops, and you're like, oh, okay, what? So that should be the natural end of things. The lamp fell because we were fucking around, and everybody just stops. So the lamp falls, it stops, and we're sitting there on the bed. And again, we make eye contact with one another. And we look around, and then it just fucking explodes. Fucking Bob jumps on Danny. We all jump on Danny. I don't know why, because he's the biggest maybe. We all just jump on Danny. We start beating the shit out of Danny. We are just pounding him. We're punching him, and he's laughing his ass off. He can't stop laughing. We're jumping on him. And again, mind you, we're in the parents' house of these girls. Like, we don't know these people. We know their parents, but they're not there, and they don't. I'm sure they wouldn't want us in their bedroom wrestling. But it turns into this huge fucking battle royal where we're punching Danny, and it escalates to where we're really hitting him, and he can't stop laughing. He's like, and he had this really distinctive like ha ha, just like this weird bear laugh. We're hitting him, and then all of a sudden we just grab his pants and we rip his fucking jeans. We're ripping his jeans off of his body. We're just fucking just like a wedgie, but we're giving him a wedgie, but also ripping his jeans. And he's weak from laughter. Like, he can't fight back, but he's laughing, and we're punching him in the fucking legs, and we're just fucking ripping his pants, ripping him, and we rip his jeans to shreds. Completely to shreds. We just fucking, like, it was like if you had one of those, like, not a hula skirt, but I mean those weird skirts that are just strips, like they look like Venetian blinds, and we're destroying his fucking pants. They're hanging off of him just by the waistband, but we rip the pockets off. We fucking we just rip these pants to fucking shreds, the zipper, everything, and finally we just tear them right off him. He's on the ground now. He's laughing. The fucking lamp is still off. The entire bed is unmade. Like, the mattress is askew. And we're punching him. We fucking rip the pants off, and once the pants come off of him, we all fall on the ground, and we're just like, and we're laughing, and we're looking around, and Danny can't stop laughing, and he's like all bruised up, like we're kicking the shit out of him, and he looks up, and he's in his underwear. He's just in his fucking underwear for no reason. We ripped his fucking pants off. It just turned into that. It just was like, hey dudes, and an elbow, and then a lamp, and then boom, it just exploded into us destroying his fucking pants. We just fucking abuse it. And he's sitting there in his underwear, and we're laughing, and we're like, oh. And then Pam yells, what the fuck is going on up there? And we're like, and it's literally like being scolded by your mom. We're just like, nothing. And so Danny is upstairs, and we got to get him out of there, but he has no pants. Like, we don't know how we're going to get him downstairs and what they're going to say when they see him in his underwear. Like, it's just it just became weird. So we're like, all right, we don't know what we're going to do. What the fuck are we going to do? We got to figure something out. So then we decide that we're going to take a pair of Kathy and Mary's dad's pants. So we go in the closet and we go looking around and we find like a pair of dad pants. Like, just this weird, and now we can't stop laughing because it's just the very fact that we've even advanced the plan to this stage that we're in their closet looking around for pants. So we sure enough, we get a pair and we just give them to him, and Danny puts the fucking pants on and he's wearing Kathy and Mary's dad's pants, and he's laughing. He's wearing the pants. We're fucking laughing. We just think it's hysterical. We're like, why? And we're like, is he really going to get out of here wearing those pants? I don't know if they noticed that he was wearing jeans downstairs, but I mean, they know he's not wearing dad pants. Pam's got it because Pam's Danny's girlfriend. She's got to notice he's wearing different pants, right? So we're just like, we're laughing our asses off, but he puts on the pants and we're going to go downstairs. And then someone goes, oh, dude, grab the fucking jeans. Because the jeans are all ripped up. And our friend, and Pete of the egging and the here's my fucking toga. Pete fucking picks up the jeans. He fucking folds them in half and he hangs them on the same hanger that the other pants were on. And he hangs them up in the closet. He makes this face. I will never fucking translate, but I wish to God you could fucking see me. He just goes like, he folds them and he puts them over his arm and he puts them on the hanger and he just grins this huge grin, and he hangs them back in their fucking closet. He hangs the fucking pants up in the closet. Oh, God. Fucking brilliant. Why didn't I think of it? He hangs them back up, and that's it. Then we lose it. We fucking fall on the ground. We're laughing. We're fucking dying. But we leave, and we left the pants hung up in the closet. I wish to God I could have been there when they went in the closet and they just saw these ripped up jeans hanging on a fucking hanger in the closet. They have no idea how they don't know. Because again, the girls can't explain it. It's not like Kathy and Mary can go, we had a party and the guys were upstairs and they ripped Danny's pants off and fucking folded them and put them in your closet. By the way, they stole a pair of your pants on the way out. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be fucking kidding me. The look on his face must have been priceless. Where are these from? Whose pants are these? Why are they in my goddamn closet? So stupid. Oh, dude. So when I say to get your friends together and make eye contact and crazy shit will happen and you'll fucking talk about it forever, believe me, it happens. Trust me. Get your friends together. Something will happen. Just sit in the house and drink and watch football. Eventually, someone's pants are going to get ripped off. You guys can get me at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. You guys can follow me at Facebook /the40-year-old boy and Twitter Twitter.com/the40-year-old boy. And as always, that's the number 40. And also you can follow our friend Lily Von Stupp. No, you can't. You can't follow her anywhere. But you can be her friend at Facebook at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. And also remember, you can write her. Like I said, you can write me at those addresses, but you can write Lily at you can write Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily Lili at burlesque411.com. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, host of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, which you're listening to right now. Wanted to tell you about Skull Pie t-shirts and year one download sets available now for your college student or for your toddler. or your preteen. Any children that are going back to school would appreciate this as a gift. So go ahead and pick up a Skull Pie t-shirt. These are available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, or get a year one download set, also available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Lily's laughing, and she won't laugh out loud, so it's throwing me off. It's a little strange. So go ahead and pick up year one download sets and Skull Pie t-shirts for yourself, for your college student, again, for any child that you might have, any child you might know about. I know my audience tends to get around. I am dumb. All right, so go ahead and pick up a year one download set, pick up a Skull Pie t-shirt, all from the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. That's right, the 40-Year-Old Boy. 52 episodes, $25, one brutally funny podcast. Why are you pointing at me? Stop pointing. Hey, there's a few things I wanted to talk about here, folks. I just told you where you can write me and where you can meet Lily, or write Lily. You can't meet Lily at Facebook. What if you could? Oh, you guys will have video chats with her. That'll be fun. On Facebook.com, there is a group that has decided that they're the Mike Schmidt fan club. I think that's really cool of them. They've been very nice, and they're calling themselves the West Side 86 Jokers, which I believe is something I said in a show once. I hope to God. I hope it's not some weird code of, that I didn't say. I'm pretty sure it's something I said. So there's a couple ways you can go find them because they're also doing a really cool thing. They're putting together a glossary of the show. I bitched and whined enough, I guess, on one of the episodes where there should be a glossary. And I can't be bothered to go back and listen to everything because what am I doing besides nothing 7 days a week? And they've decided to pick up the torch. They're carrying the torch, picked up the mantle, I guess, and they're putting together a glossary. So if you want to find words like stripple and saddle vag, which was another word that I made up at some point, and I did something in this week's show. I came up with something for the blongs. That's what it was. Blongs. It's like for bangs, but keep them long. Blongs. Long bangs are blongs. So these people are really cool. So again, you can go to Facebook.com and search Westside 86 Jokers, and that's the number 86. Or Lily has gone ahead and made like a tiny link for them because Lily loves tiny things. So she's made up, it's tiny, tiny.cc/West86. So tiny.cc/West86, and that will take you to the Mike Schmidt fan club page, and then you guys can become members. And right now there's no stickers or lunch boxes or anything to be had. Who knows in the future? But right now they're compiling the glossary. So if you guys wanted to jump on there, and if you've got anything that you remember that I said that was suitably ridiculous and belongs there, by all means, go ahead and join them and compile that. But I cannot thank them enough. That's really cool of them to be doing that. And I think we've got upwards of 6 people involved in the Mike Schmidt fan club. So by all means, go and increase those numbers and help them as they compile the glossary. So someday I can go ahead and get big enough to forget about all of you. And I want to thank a couple people sent me stuff in my P.O. box. People are sending me stuff all the time, but I wanted to mention a few people here. A gentleman named Rich, who's been listening to me since Never Not Funny days, which was a show that I was on previously. They have a fan club too, by the way. It's called The Rest of the World. So you've got the 6 people at the Westside 86 Jokers, and then you've got the rest of the world enjoying Never Not Funny. So Rich is a good guy. Rich sent me a CD of his band. So if you want to go ahead and listen to Rich's band, go to jackinferno.com. That's JACKINFERNO, jackinferno.com, and go listen to some serious metal torn up by Rich and his friends in Jack's Inferno. And they also have a MySpace page, but you'll find all that through jackinferno.com, or just Google them, find them. Just Google Mike's new favorite band, and I'm sure you'll find them right away. And I also wanted to mention a young man named Kurt, who sent something very nice to the P.O. box to myself and to Lily. And I'll send him an email because he also sent me an email saying, hey, can you check your P.O. box? Because I don't know if I got ripped off by sending something. And like he thought maybe it was a scam. Like I made up this P.O. box and it was a complete scam. But no, it was true. And it did arrive, Kurt. I was able to get it just a couple days ago. And I wanted to thank you very much. And I'll send you an email, and Lily will as well. But Lily appreciated it. Right,
Thank
Lily?
you.
Yes, Lily was very happy too. So that was nice of you to send what you sent. And if anybody wants to send me anything and you want to get the P.O. Box number, go ahead and write me at Facebook I already told you where. That's what it is. Facebook.com/I already told you where.com. All right, so go ahead and do. And also, if you guys, again, remember that year one. I know I already played the spot, but year one is available in Skull Pie shirts and get. Why not buy year one? Seriously, you'll enjoy it, and it's half the price of the Magic Bullet Express. Why not? Why not get it? $25. Magic Bullet Express. I just saw that commercial yesterday. I love the Magic Bullet. I think we all love the original Magic Bullet, and we love Hazel and all of those people at the house. But now the Magic Bullet Express comes along, and granted, year one will not make juice. I can tell you that right now. Year one will not make juice. However, if you purchase year one, you don't have to deal with all of these obnoxious people in your kitchen showing you how to fucking use it. You know exactly how to use year one. You just fucking plug it in, and you play it in your earbuds, and everything's fine. You don't need Mick and Mimi to come by and make some sort of frozen drinks and tell you that they're going to make a 9-second pizza when it's not a 9-second pizza. Quit telling me you're making shit in 9 seconds. You're not doing it. I watched the Magic Bullet Express, and again, I love the show. I love the fact that the fat guy loves food, and he steals the nachos and runs away, and then there's a granny who's mean, and then there's an aunt who's just got a bitter face, and then there's like a couple other people who are like, I can't believe we're in the Magic Bullet Express commercial, but we're going to act our fucking asses off. They're not, because they're so good, they're just natural. Like, I'm not used to that in an infomercial. I want to see, when I see an infomercial, it's people, Mr. T crashing through a wall and crazy shit going on. I'm not used to seeing people that are natural and normal. Jesus Christ. I'm used to seeing people yell about a fucking paper towel that can soak up the ocean. But no, instead, I got to watch this show, and these people are really great in the Magic Bullet commercial to the point where I'm like, I would actually cast them off the Magic Bullet Express commercial. I wouldn't cast Granny. Maybe it's because Granny was so bad. Granny and the bitter face and the fat guy are so bad that it makes this a young couple look good. But I'm telling you, I can't stop watching it now because of their fantastically flawless performance. Oh, and that and the fact that... I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.